What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be sitting here doing another video in my must-have Gags series. This is my series I created inspired by Samantha March's Will I Buy It series. I always have her series and community playlists linked down below, as well as all the Instagram pages I follow to get all this makeup knowledge. And lastly, but certainly not least, I always have all the items listed and linked down below. If there is an asterisk behind that link, that means that it is affiliated. It is an affiliated link. If you shop through it, I very much appreciate it. It gives me a small commission, but adds nothing to your total. Otherwise, no big deal at all. I'm just happy that we were able to sit down for the amount of time that we would be sitting down and talking about new makeup. Because even though a lot of us are trying not to spend money, I think it's always still fun to talk about the new makeup and maybe even look at our own collections in a different way to be inspired by this new makeup. So, with that said, I'm going to scoot over. We are going to be putting makeup on as we talk about the new releases, per usual. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so there seems to be a lot of things that I have pinned. I don't think I'm going to talk about all 64 pins because that's just a lot, and I don't necessarily want this video to be as long as my last new makeup releases, but definitely let me know if you like really long new makeup releases, and you know, I don't mind. I'm thinking that I'm going to keep these to about every 2 weeks, just so that I'm not so immersed into this new makeup. Although I enjoy looking at it and talking about it, I don't want to get to the point where I feel like it is all that I need to know. So let's get into it. There is a new concealer from Tarte, and this is in a packaging more so that I've seen them do their bronzers in. Just the packaging alone is an easy pass for me. As I said in my declutter videos, and I've just been slowly talking about in pretty much a lot of my videos this year, I'm going to be a lot more exclusive, and I feel like that is the bonus that we are now allowed to have at the ripe age of 2024, because there's so much new makeup. I mean, there's new makeup coming from so many different brands, so many interesting things. We can just afford to be a lot more critical as to what products we're going to pick up, what products we're going to bring into our collections. And the fact that the packaging here is just not a packaging that I know I will get any enjoyment out of using, because it would just feel annoying to have to reach for it, have to reach for a brush, especially when I do not predominantly reach for brushes. So yeah, definitely something interesting in my opinion, but not something for me. I would love to know though if this type of packaging is a preferred packaging for you, because it's, like I said, it's just definitely not one for me. Guerlain has come out with a concealer as well, and this is their Natural Perfection concealer. I haven't heard a lot of good things about Guerlain's base ranges, like when it comes to foundations, concealers. Yeah, I've heard some good things here and there, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think people are really raving about their brand when it comes to their base products. I think Guerlain has really had their moment when it came to their bronzers, and I'm sure at some point in this video I'll be talking about their summer collection if I didn't talk about it last week or the last time I did this series. But in the grand scheme of things, this type of product from this brand is not interesting to me. I also really want to strive to get through a lot of my concealers, so really bringing in concealers this year is not going to be a really high ticket item for me. Sephora is coming out with a lot of favorites collections and sampler sets. I'm really interested as to maybe they're just doing a lot of really good for the brand in general, like revenue wise, and that's why they're still coming out with them even outside of the holiday season. This one is all about samples for perfumes, and you're getting really small 5 samples, and you can redeem them for a full size. The cost of it is $82. What I will say is, even though a lot of these are really those high ticket concealer, or not concealers, those high ticket perfumes that a lot of people are interested in and want to smell and want to buy, look at the price that you pay for the sampler set compared to what you would just pay for getting one fluid ounce. If you are nowhere near a Sephora and you're never able to have access to a Sephora, then maybe getting something like this delivered to your house will be beneficial. But if you can take the time to go to a Sephora and smell these things in person, it just may be more cost effective to literally just buy the one fluid ounce after you've tried it, maybe worn it a couple of times. So that's what I would say on this. For me, it's going to be an easy pass. I'm very happy with my perfume collection right now. And as you guys saw in my beauty declutter, my goal right now is to actually get through some of my more mainstream perfumes and colognes, just because, I think that although they're nice, they just don't tick all the boxes that they did when I picked them up. And so, yeah, I'm considering, just not decluttering, but finishing up quite a bit of them. And that's why you saw a lot of those more designer brands in my beauty project pan, because I really just want to kind of get my money's worth out of them and just move on. Bella Beauty Bar is coming out with some new products. I've seen people actually already post videos about this particular palette, and this is the Dead Roses palette. I'm gonna see if I can find a post. Yeah, here's the palette here. So it has some pinks, some reds, some purples. I think that this is a cute little color scheme. I definitely understand bringing some different colors to a Valentine's Day eyeshadow palette, because it gets a tinge bit boring every year when all people do is bring out red and pink color schemes for Valentine's Day. Yeah, red and pink for Valentine's Day, groundbreaking, so I appreciate that they at least added some purple. I would have loved to see even a couple of different, more unique colors, maybe even adding green for the stems of the roses and stuff like that. Maybe something spiky or really interesting for the thorns of roses. A lot of people forget that roses have thorns. So I think it's cute, not something that I need. I do hear really good things about the brand's formula though. So if you are interested in it, definitely let me know how you like it if you do end up picking it up. It looks like Tarte is also coming out with some lip liners. I do see a brown or two, which of course makes me very, very happy. I think these look great. I love the model that they chose. Her swatches of the liners look really, really beautiful. And they show me that even though they are brown, they will actually work on my darker skin tone. So I really, really like that. Do I necessarily need another lip liner? No. And let's look really closely at the swatches. There are some browns, maybe the ginger shade, which looks to be like a mid-tone brownie orange. Maybe that would be something that I would be into, because I do love a brown lip liner that has either a yellow tint or something warm to it. So I could definitely see me getting use out of that shade, but I just don't need any lip liners right now. I have quite a few. As you guys saw once again in my project pan, I am trying to pan a particular brown lip liner, so no need to bring that in, but I definitely could see me, potentially looking into it. Chanel is coming out with a collection, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw this and I gasped and I thought about picking it up, because once again, the blushes got me. They have 3 different shades of blushes. I'm sure that the two, like the mauvey one and the orangey one, are very reminiscent of the collection that I actually did pull the trigger on last year when it came to Chanel. And then of course they have a light kind of pinky one, which is pretty much always a good color for their clientele. That said, I learned a lot. I look very blown out. Hopefully it's not that bad when I go back to edit. But I learned a lot when it came to the one blush that I picked up from Chanel. And what I learned is, although it looks dark and saturated and, you know, really pigmented in this still. It's not. So I'm not going to pick it up. I also, as you guys know, have a limited budget in 2023 per month, and this would take up pretty much the whole budget. It would take up the whole budget. I don't want it to. I'm very happy, content. I have that one Chanel blush, which I will probably keep in my collection to gird my loins when it comes to any additional ones that I may want. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and skip on that. Nomad Cosmetics came out with a new palette, and I must say, I love the fact that this brand does these travel inspired collections and palettes. A lot of the times I've either never been to the place or I've wanted to go to the place, something to that effect. In this particular instance, I've been to New Zealand. I loved it. I loved everything about New Zealand. The experience, the ambiance, the chilled atmosphere, the nature. It was just so, so nice. And so for me, I look at the inspiration and I love it. I do. When I look at the actual palette though, not so much. I'm not so much in love with this palette. It's just not the perfect color scheme for me. I find that when I'm looking at it, I know pretty much the 2 or 3 mattes, maybe, how many mattes are in that bottom row? Okay, so there are 2 mattes in that bottom row. Those I know aren't going to work for me. I have quite a good experience with Nomad's formula. Even the middle shade in that middle row would be kind of tipsy-turvy on whether that would work for me. Pretty much I know that top row will, and certain parts of the other rows, there's just something about this palette that really is not calling to me. Generally, I can kind of feel maybe some type of way when it comes to Nomad stuff, but I don't, unfortunately, with this palette and this collection. So I am going to go ahead and pass, but I definitely would love to hear if you decided to pick it up. If you really like the collection, definitely let me know. I would love to hear it. And yeah, I'll be excited to see. I've already seen reviews. Or did I not watch them? I've been super busy lately, so I don't think I actually physically watched them, but I'll definitely be interested to see how well that palette is received in the long term, not necessarily even just the short term. Natasha Denona has come out with a new, if you're wondering any of the products that I put on my face, as always, I will have them listed and linked down below. So just check out down there. But this is Natasha Denona's Berry Pop collection, where she has a face palette that actually looks like it's going to work for my skin tone. So I have been itching to potentially pick this up. But I didn't do it this month. This month, I've really been strategic. So I'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to hopefully the video when I can eventually film it, where I showcase my purchases for the month of January, and I'll probably lump in my December purchases as well because I just haven't had the time to do that video. Or if you want separate videos, please do let me know. But this is definitely a palette that I plan to pick up. I do like the formula overall of Natasha Denona's cheek products. Just the previous one that I picked up just was too light for me. It was not going to work, and I was kind of sick of trying to force it to work. So I think now is the time to talk about the Pat McGrath new collection, shall we? I'll jump to talking about that because I know a lot of people. Let's talk about it. So this is Pat McGrath's Valentine's Day collection. She calls this her Heart's Desire collection. Off rip, right? I do really like her lipsticks. I will say neither of their shades look perfect for me, so I'm probably going to pass on those. The highlighter though, I love her highlighters. I have like 4 or 5 of them. I highly recommend her highlighters, and this one is in Nude Opal. I want to say that is a re-released shade, but just a different compact or embossing. So please, if you have quite a bit of highlighters in your collection from her, make sure to check that out because I don't want you to purchase the same thing again. And unfortunately, when it comes to the eyeshadow palette, that has been found to have been shades in multiple palettes that she has already released. I will try to find the most up-to-date post from Motivate the Earth where she showcases where each individual shade in this new quad came from. I understand why this could be annoying for a really avid Pat McGrath owner and collector, but at the same time, for people who don't buy a lot of her stuff, these may be the perfect shades to create a look for them for every day. And so that may be the purpose why somebody would pick up the quad, but it's more important to just be knowledgeable about, you know, what you're picking up. So just definitely pay attention to that. And if you're interested, the two shades on the lipstick are Honey Haze and Nude Nectarine. So make sure to know that. Like I said, I'm pretty much going to pass that whole collection, but I did just want to make sure you guys knew, you know, what was important and, like, you know, what was new and old for the respective products. They have come out with some cream blushes with Hello Kitty. I definitely think that this is smart. I like it. I like more, I wouldn't say I like it, but I do like the colors. I like how kind of the aesthetic looks like these are going to be nicely pigmented and saturated and work for a variety of different skin tones. Now, whether they do, I can't tell you that, but it looks like it will. So for that reason alone, I am definitely like eyeing this collection in these products. Will I pick them up? Probably not. I went through a huge phase last year of picking up so many cream blushes, and don't get me wrong, for, you know, 9 times out of 10, I'm very happy that I picked up all of the cream blushes that I did. But at the same time, you know, I want to use them now. I really want to use a lot more of my products. And as cute as these are, none of the shades look super unique for my collection. So I think I am going to go ahead and pass, but they do look really, really nice. They look really, really nice. Something that I think is going to be a bit of a catfish for people are these Tarte cheek and eye palettes. So these cheek and eye palettes have 2 rows of eyeshadows and then 1 row of all creams. And although the creams look dark, I just think these are a catfish. I think these are a catfish. If you're somebody of my skin tone or darker, I honestly would say be very, very cautious if you're interested and you try to pick these up. I just don't foresee them being a potential good product for somebody of my skin tone. I definitely think this is somebody who is of a tan, maybe even a little bit lighter than tan skin tone. I just don't think this is dark skin friendly at all. So that would be my caution based on my years watching Tarte with their very interesting shade ranges and their interesting releases and stuff. I know how brands tend to operate, where they will change their saturation to make a product look like it's more inclusive in the shots, and then when people get them, they're super disappointed. And it's 2024. There's no reason for us to be disappointed with inclusivity when it comes to makeup. We're just not going to buy it. We're just not going to buy it. It looks like Deandra Nicole is doing a collaboration with Bella Beauté Bar for the Ultraviolet collection. I've seen her on my Instagram. She does quite a few swatches for a lot of indie brands, and I definitely understand the obsession with violets and purples, especially on a darker skin tone. I definitely think they pop. My first eyeshadow when I was in high school was a purple, so I definitely completely understand it, and I was obsessed with that purple. Obsessed. It was literally a single pan of purple. I loved it, and I wore that exclusive shade all throughout college when on the odd chance I wore makeup in college. I like this, but I also know that I don't get the use out of purples that I used to. So there's no reason for me to pick this up. I think it's a beautiful collection. I definitely want to congratulate both parties on the collaboration, but this is going to be a pass for me. It looks like there's a new lip balm brand, and it's called Breeze Balms, and they are coming out with three ice cream inspired lip balms. So one is mango sherbet, the other one is sherbet sprinkle, and then the last one is bubblegum dream. It makes sense that there's a brand that's really coming out exclusively because of balms. Lip balms was, I think, single handedly one of the most popular categories of lip products last year, if not products in general. Last year, when it comes to makeup, so many brands really went viral because of their formula of lip balms. And so I definitely think that we'll see a lot of brands this year starting to really try to capitalize on that. And if not, a year from now, because sometimes it does take quite a few years for things to really come out of production. So I definitely think that this brand was one of those brands that really jumped on this wagon very early on when they started to see the popularity of lip balms. That said, I don't need this. There are quite a few other brands of lip balms that I've been wanting to try and I haven't been able to thus far. But so I'm gonna prioritize those. I know those brands. I don't want to say I'm brand loyal, but I'm already interested in trying those brands. So that's where I'm gonna go with that. But I'm not saying never for trying that particular brand. It looks like Guerlain has come out with some new shades of their tinted lip oil. I know that this is a very, very popular lip oil formula, and they're coming out with 6 different shades. I couldn't tell you how expensive this is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is high 20s, late 30s price tag. Not something that I have tried thus far, but I have tried a Yes Style equivalent that I just was interested in trying that one, to be honest, and I just to date have not tried this one. Let me know if this is one of your favorite lip oils. I would love to know. I am still thinking about potentially doing a lip oil video. I just clearly have not gotten around to it. I'm just getting back in the saddle of filming, but I'm hopeful to do that soon after. Especially, there are a couple of formulas that I really wanted to feature in that video, and I just have not been able to get my hands on those yet. So when I'm able to, that's probably when I will do that video. It looks like Bobbi Brown is coming out with a very frosty collection. So this is called Rose Glow, and this is their spring 2024 collection. It's really interesting. So it's a very, very light white highlighter with some shadow sticks and a lipstick. I have definitely been paying a lot more attention to this brand this past year, and I think that will carry into 2024. Whether I determine that I am willing to spend a portion of my beauty budget on the brand this year, that I'm not really confident on, but I do definitely think that I will be paying attention to the brand, to the releases. I still kind of want their collaboration with the three girls, Powerpuff Girls. I still do kind of want some things from that collection. I think last time I checked, it is available at a UK retailer. I just didn't pull the trigger. Why? The world may never know. But I definitely I'm very, very interested in the brand. For some reason, I'm just enjoying the aspect of the brand. It's probably because I've gotten really into more one shadow looks, and this brand really, they do a lot of one shadow looks. So keeping it going with Sol de Janeiro, this brand has really been pumping out products, and I think this is where we'll really see how the brand is going to change now that they are owned by a pyramid scheme brand. I don't know the semantics of it. Honestly, I genuinely don't care. I don't buy a lot of Sol de Janeiro, but I do think it's interesting that right after that broke, it seems like a year now later since it's been, they've really been pushing out a lot of product releases, whereas previously the brand was a lot more selective on what they were releasing. So today I'm going to be using the Glam Light Friday the 13th palette. I've been sitting on this palette and I've been really wanting to play with it. So anyways, in my opinion, I think this is probably going to be a good mist. So this is Chorizo 59. This is supposed to smell like vanilla orchid, sugared violet, and sandalwood. Those are notes that I do enjoy. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, I could probably enjoy this palette. But, I'm good. After doing my mist declutter earlier this week and seeing how few and far between the times that I'm actually reaching for my mist, that knowledge really makes me think that adding mist to my personal collection is just not smart. It doesn't make sense. They'll just be sitting here or eventually be decluttered, and that will be more or less a waste of my money. And for what? For what? So I think that this is just going to be something that maybe I'll smell in store and, give the awe of it and all of that jazz. I'll let the YouTubers who are making bank, actually buy the things to review for their channel. And I will just stay in my little corner and, try to spend my money wisely. And of course, the money that I make in all avenues of my life. So, yeah, that is that. Sydney Grace did a collaboration very recently with Kendra Mathis, and this looks like a very kind of bridal collection. I love that Sydney Grace is still doing a dark and a light palette for all of their releases. I definitely think that the brands that tried to keep up with this previously really have not kept up with that, and I appreciate that the brand is still doing that regardless of whether it is kind of a popular thing to do or not. They're just doing it because it's what's right. It is truly what's right. And in the grand scheme of things, if you look at these palettes in general, it's only a handful of shades that are always different. A majority of the shades are the same, but there's just a different saturation level and depth level on a handful of shades, and that can make or break a palette, because for 4 or 5 shades, why would I buy a palette when I know 4 or 5 shades aren't going to work for me? And I can buy it from here where I know all of the shades are going to work for me. So I love it. I love Sydney Grace's formula. I love their palettes. I really want to pull out some of my palettes that I've kept from the brand and use them a little bit more. They're great, great quality. These particular releases, personally, I just don't think I need to bring into my collection. I think they're great. I think they are beautiful. If you're somebody who is either into bridal makeup or just very, very neutral makeup and you want a solid formula, I don't want to say basic metallic, but it's a basic metallic. It is truly perfect for people who like the more traditional kind of bridal makeup. This would definitely be a brand to look at, and it looks like these palettes would be perfect for that as well. Congratulations once again to both parties, but I think I'm going to skip personally. That actually was intriguing, and I saw this, I pinned it, and I was like, this is going to be something where I'm going to be very, very interested. So Smashbox is doing face palettes in their Halo range. Now, I think of all of the ranges that Smashbox has come out with throughout the years, this is the range that really has pulled some traction for the brand, and I'm sure they just want to kind of keep that momentum, keep that attention to the brand. So they have 4 different face palettes, which it should be worth it for 4 different skin tones. I definitely can see the difference in the shades just by the picture, so I can only imagine how the shades will look differently in person. That said, it's going to be interesting to see how this is received overall. I find that face palettes in general are not something that a lot of people pick up anymore. This was definitely something that a lot of people picked up in 2017, 2018, because, you know, either they were aspiring makeup artists or they just wanted a lot of product for their bang or for their buck, and they didn't have a lot of product at the time. Because this was still at the beginning of when the makeup industry was really booming, because a lot of people realized the more makeup you release, the more money you're going to make, basically. And so now, when we're looking at this as a 2024 release, I will find it very interesting to see how many people actually pick up makeup this collection. Because at the end of the day, yeah, every day a new person is getting into makeup, and there's a new wave of beginners and enthusiasts and all of that. But I would be interested. I think for me, if I had to pick like a palette to pick up, I think the darkest one would be the one that I would have to pick up. I don't think that second to darkest one, that bronzer would not work for me. And the shades in that darkest palette for the blushes are not preferred shades for me. Like, I prefer the blushes in the second to darkest one, but the bronzer and the highlighter, no, probably just the bronzer in the darkest one. So this is probably going to be a release that I unfortunately pass on, just because overall I don't think it would be beneficial for me to pick it up. But like I said, I'll just be very keen and interested to see who picks this release up, and you know, how it's received. If it's a really good release for the brand, which I really hope it is, because the brand really hasn't had a good release for some years. At one point they had a lot of really good publicity because of Casey Holmes, and then there was that weird collaboration that was like not approved or something weird like that. And then ever since then, I feel like the brand just really hasn't been able to pick up. And in the makeup industry, you know, for better or for worse, if you can't keep up with the times, you can really just fall behind. So I'll be very interested to see how this is received overall. So it looks like Dior is coming out with a maximizer highlighter and a star filter product. This is going to be in their more kind of luxury range, not in their Backstage range. I personally, thus far, have preferred their Backstage range. It just works better for me. It's more affordable, dee-da-dee-da-dee. That said, I have heard great things from this particular range, and I'm sure it is great. It looks like there is a decent shade range in both of the products for this particular collection. I'm just not going to probably pick any of it up. It's just going to be a little bit too out of my price range. So I'm just going to continue to watch from the sideline and see how people respond to it, because I will be interested. This is just not going to personally be something that I pick up. Glow Recipe, in a good step, in my opinion, is extending their watermelon niacinamide glow drops. I definitely think that this is really a good step for the brand. A lot of people use these as skincare, but you could also more or less use this as now a tint. And I really, really like this move for the brand. I'm very interested in this product. I hear a lot of people who are of a similar skin type to me loving this, and I do find that my skin loves niacinamide, so I would be interested in trying this. I just need to be in the market for another serum. Right now I'm good on serums and skincare, but this is definitely something that I would keep in the back of my head. I do have one or two Sephora gift cards hanging around, and I don't think I ever really talked about how I was going to deal with Sephora gift cards, you know, in my video talking about my purchasing for this year, mainly because I didn't really think about it at the time, and I'm going to continue to germinate over that this month, but it's definitely going to be something I need to take into consideration. So Rhode is coming out with yet another product. This one is a cleanser, and I am currently still in the midst of going through my first kind of version of the Rhode product. So I picked up a moisturizer, what they consider more or less an essence, and a lip balm from them the first time I ordered from them. And I'm still going through the two more or less skincare products. And what I will say is that they're nice. I wouldn't say they're like live or die, but I also have been intermittently sick and all of that. So my usage of the product may not be kind of the best representation for how good it can be. So yeah, it is what it is. Let's keep going. Makeup Revolution is coming out with a interesting kind of brow product. This is a fluffy brow duo, and I definitely do think that it is important and helpful to have drugstores coming out with brow products that work for the different type of brow aesthetic and vibe that you're going for. Nobody wants to pay luxury prices for a brow product, right? Or even high-end prices. Like, nobody wants to, and nobody should have to. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how this is received. I don't think that this is them duping anything, but when it comes to Makeup Revolution, you kind of never know. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this is received. Maybe once I'm done through my 10,000 backups of brow products, I'll try it. But at that point, I'm sure this will be discontinued because Makeup Revolution is one of those brands that does discontinue things quite quickly if it's not really pulling any traction for one of their 10,000 brands. A lot of people have been talking about this, so I might as well. Burt's Bees is doing a collaboration with Ranch, and I think this is just inevitable, right? You see so many collaborations with food brands and just IPs in general that are just doing so well that you're gonna get stuff like this that is just left field. Whether you like it, whether you support it, that's a personal decision. For me, not something I need. And I don't think that Burt's Bees as a brand needs this type of gimmick. Burt's Bees as a brand has great quality lip balms. They have been some of the most used lip balms in my collection. I used to buy packs multiple times a year because I was just constantly going through them, constantly losing them. But this was my go-to brand for lip balm. And maybe it's something where, like me, so many people started off with just using them as a lip balm, and now we've gravitated to different lip balms, and so they just need something to bring their customer base back. But I still feel that this brand just doesn't need to do this. They just don't need to do it. Saints, Angels, Sinners, is that the brand? They have a really interesting kind of neutral palette coming out that I like. It's a 6-pan, which is perfect. These are more earthy tones, which is really what I've been into lately. And I must say I like it. I like it. I think it's cute. I've never tried the brand, I don't think. So I most likely will not be picking it up, but I definitely do like the aesthetic and the vibes of this palette, and I think it could definitely be a nice little 6-pan for anybody who is looking for some neutral tones. One Size has come out with a more glowy setting. No, it's a glowing primer. I think this is really smart. The brand has really not only cornered, but conquered the matte range when it comes to primer, foundation, all of that jazz. And I think it's definitely now the time for the brand to switch over to more really solid glowy products so that it can be, loved and enjoyed by a wide range of enthusiasts. That said, I've learned my lesson when it comes to picking up glowy primers. It's not for me. It's not something that I need, so I will not be picking it up. And I do also still have my One Size product that I'm working on. So I'm going to continue to work on that. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of be happy with that. A new brand coming from, I believe it's Australia. And this is MCO beauty. I love when you see brands expanding their range, and I love to see that this brand is now available in the US. Their products are $30 and under. It does look like this is like more or less a dupe-ish brand. They have a lot of products that are in packaging that looks very familiar to me, and effectively the products in the packaging once again looks very familiar. This is probably going to be a brand that I don't particularly choose to support, but in the event that you are interested, definitely check it out. ColourPop is coming out with a collection for the Valentine's Day holiday, and I think this is very classic ColourPop, right? It's very classic colors for Valentine's Day. There's really no surprise. That said, this color scheme is a similar color scheme to something that I was considering doing for Valentine's Day for my membership tutorial. So I will be doing something to the effect of this as a membership tutorial for February. If you're not already a member, my membership is only 99 cents per month. You can always subscribe, and if things happen and you can't keep subscribed, I completely understand. If you subscribe now, you also will get access to all of the videos and content that I have put up on my membership portion of my channel. So I've gotten that little plug out the way. Either way, I think these look cute. Nothing in this collection is really something that I need to pick up. And this is really continuing on with what I had talked about earlier when it came to Sol de Janeiro. There's another spray that they're already showcasing, and this is the Carica Crush scent, and this is supposed to be a summer crush, juicy notes of crisp pear, pink violet, and white cedarwood. The brand prior to, I don't know, 2 years ago, even last year, did not push out this much. This is just a lot coming out from the brand, and it's just too much personally for me. It's definitely making me pull away from the brand. I'm not intrigued at all. I have 3% miss from them. I'll be happy to get my use out of them, and then at that point, I think I'm just gonna kind of be done with the brand. I just don't think that, I don't know, it's not looking like it's it for me. It looks like Makeup Revolution is also coming out with a new foundation. This is the Skin Loving Serum Foundation, and this is a lightweight buildable foundation for subtle coverage or to build for that second skin effect. The concept and the words of this foundation sounds great. It sounds completely right up my alley. This does have a soft focus radiant satin finish that blurs imperfections. This really sounds like a foundation that I would get a lot of use out of. This does remind me of some of the newer formulas that I've already brought in though, so I don't think I definitely need to pick this up, but this could be something that in the future, once I finish a couple of foundations, I bring this in and I feel hopefully some enjoyment. This could be one of those foundations that once I finish one or two, I bring in to get some of that same enjoyment out of my preferred finishes. But that said, this year I really want to narrow down my collection. I have a lot of foundations and I really have tried to keep it under 10 and even 5 for years now, and I haven't been successful, but this year I'm hopeful to be successful. So although this looks good, and I do have a perfect shade match in Makeup Revolution, I believe it was F14, I want to say. This is definitely one that I'm going to sit on. I'm not going to pick it up, but I would love to, maybe in the future. Glamlight is already sneak peeking a new collaboration. This one I am assuming is perfectly timed for Valentine's Day, and this is the Betty Bop collection. It is going to be coming out February 2nd. I don't have much information on this particular release, but the more time that we get closer to, the holiday, I'm sure we'll get more information, and of course I will talk to you guys more about it. Red Rain is coming out with a new palette, and it's been some time since they did. This has 4 different quads in it, and it is called the Cam Quad Palette Volume 1, which indicates that they're thinking about and hoping to do multiple iterations of this. I will say that the small little quads that are in this palette are definitely quads that I would get a lot of use out of. I would have preferred if they released these separately. That one green quad I would have picked up. I already know Colored Rain's formula. I already like their formula, so I would have picked that up. But who knows? I may go ahead and pick up this quad or this palette in general. It is $36, which is quite a lot of money when it comes to my beauty budget, but I am very intrigued, and it has been some time since I've picked up a Colored Rain collection. Trader Joe's is coming out with more products in the beauty range. They are coming out with a lip mask duo and a body oil for their Brazilian nut scent. I know a lot of people are really interested in Trader Joe's beauty. I still have yet to try any, and I think I'm going to be okay with that. You know, there's so much of beauty that I get kind of collector-esque in, and I don't want this to be another kind of website or location that I feel I need to collect. And I do tend to kind of, once I try it and I like it, I want to collect it all. So I don't want to get in that mindset. I'm going to stay in my little corner and just continue to observe from afar how people are enjoying that product. We're almost to the end. I promise we are almost there. L'Oreal is coming out with a setting spray for their Infallible range. This makes perfect sense. This is one of the ranges that has done the best for the brand, so I completely understand why they have done this. I may try it. I don't have a lot of setting sprays, and I'm working my way through the few that I do have. So maybe once I get down to one, or maybe finishing a couple. I want to finish at least the two that are in my project pan before I bring any other setting sprays in, but I could definitely see this potentially being an option for me. So Makeup Forever has come out with a glow version of their high HD Skin. I think this is really important. Their HD Skin foundation that I have is a really nice, like, natural finish. It does go a little matte, but it's not super glowy. So for people who have drier skin, it might not be the best. Now they're having a very glowy foundation, which I think will be perfect for people who have more drier skin. I really like this release for them. I'm sure it's going to be great, and I can't wait to hear the really great reviews. Dee Signature has come out with a new release, and this is the Blooming Basket eyeshadow palette. So this is 8 different mattes and then quite a few shimmers. I think that this is a really pretty palette. I don't know if I am particularly going to pick this palette up. I did just recently try the brand for the first time, and I am enjoying that palette, don't get me wrong. But I kind of this year want to be slower in my investing when it comes to financially into brands. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think that there are some brands that I may want to always buy all of their products, but for these newer brands, I really want to get a lot of knowledge base on what I already picked up from them prior to picking up, you know, another palette and then just constantly bringing things in. So this palette looks great. It looks beautiful. They're constantly bringing out palettes recently, which I love to see from the brand kind of reviving themselves, getting themselves back into the market. I do want them to kind of slow down just a tinge. I feel like they're really coming out with a lot right now, but overall the color schemes look beautiful, and the formula so far I am truly enjoying. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is the fact that Milk Makeup has come out with a cooling water jelly tint, and this is supposed to be something that can tint the lips and the cheek. I think this is really interesting coming from Milk, because the brand hasn't been one of those less is more makeup brands. So I will find this very interesting to see those who tend to have a lot from the brand, how they can incorporate that into, you know, their full faces of makeup of specifically Milk. But yeah, so far, you know, it's interesting. I don't think it's going to be something I pick up, but I'll definitely watch the reviews. So I definitely stopped doing my makeup because I just really wanted to get through, you know, the releases, because there were so many releases. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna jump off camera, put on the rest of my makeup, and then I will talk to you guys about all of the new makeup releases that I talked about today. I know that today's video was long yet again, and I truly do apologize for that. But what I want to say is that I find that for me right now, I'm more interested in more of the basics, more of the necessities, the things that I'm going to use time and time again every time I sit down here to do my makeup. So my brow products, the foundation, as you saw, I talked about those a tiny bit more. Although, yes, I love me a good eyeshadow palette, a good blush, a good bronzer, all of that. I find that those are not things that I'm super interested in, at least right now, because I have such an abundance of it. And I find that I want to think about my makeup collection more as an investment, right? Does it make sense to invest in yet another foundation when I already have foundations that I truly love, truly am getting a lot of enjoyment out of, and I already get the same finish as I get now? Now, it may make more sense for somebody who is a YouTuber that is bigger to invest in that mindset, but for me at my size and all of that jazz, it just doesn't truly make any sense. So I'm just going to continue to enjoy what I have. I'm going to hopefully be giving you guys some interesting and unique content here very soon. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.